I'm Karen Edwards of the Department of Retailing at the University of South Carolina, and today we're here with Neal Smoak, the Harry and Carmen Varney Distinguished Teacher of the Year for 2014. And Neal is the director of the McCutchen House, HRSM's Learning Lab for hospitality students. Neal has agreed today to share with us some tips for successful teaching and learning. So Neal, how do you think students learn best?
Each student learns differently. So you have to somehow be able to communicate to them the method that they learn the best. Some students are very hands-on and they need that interaction in the kitchen or the dining rooms. Some can learn from a textbook, from lecture and reading. So you have to just create your class each day. It's kind of difficult sometimes to be able to teach in a setting like we have. Some that have to have hands-on and some you can just instruct. Sometimes I spend more time with some students and less with others because they come to us with all their issues, where they've worked before, what they've done before, they've learned some things correctly, some things incorrectly. So we have to retrain some of them. So that's how I think we do, to best my ability anyway.
Okay, thank you. What works for you in the classroom, especially in the lab-type setting of the McCutchen House restaurant?
What works best for me is what works best for them. Because our job in McCutchen House and throughout the whole university really is to get our students ready to go into the industry. So they see a hands-on live restaurant. There's no faking it, there's no pretensions about it, that you have to be able to serve our guests. And we have different types of guests come in. So they have to be able to read the needs of different guests. And they have to be able to interact with them. So when you get into the kitchen part or in the dining room part, the students have to be able to connect with the guest. It's the number one issue or strategy we try to teach in the McCutchen House. We really don't teach them how to run a POS system or a computer, or we're really not interested in teaching them how to cook something particular. We're really trying to teach them when they come out of McCutchen House is to be able to interact with the guest instantly. Customer service is the only thing we have in our industry. So the McCutchen House is used solely, in my opinion, solely just to be able to teach them how to be able to walk up to a guest, have an interaction quickly, be comfortable conversation. We don't script anything. If you ever walk in McCutchen House, the front door, I'll beat them on the top of their head if they try and memorize 10 words. They have to be able to walk to a guest and say good morning, welcome, hello. However it naturally comes out their body, then it's authentic, okay? It's real, it's not fake, it's not 10 words the boss told them to say. You ever been to a restaurant where you walked in, they said 10 words to you and you knew they didn't mean any of it? You know, they just been told to script. And we're not that, because all these young people in the McCutchen House are going into the industry as managers. They're not going as wait staff or cooks or dishwashers or front desk clerks. They're going to manage and lead other people. And they have to be extremely confident in their ability to meet and greet guests with a pleasant, natural conversation. And you can build a bond with a guest in any setting, a hotel, McCutchen House, front desk, kitchen, anywhere, poolside bar. It doesn't matter if you can comfortably talk to a guest. It's the number one strategy we have in the McCutchen House. When you walk away from us, they've got to be able to do that.
Very good, thank you. What strategies do you use in the classroom setting to promote learning?
Several. Because we talk about other students learn at different types, different speeds, that kind of thing. In the classroom, I actually lecture some each week. In that classroom setting, some can sit there and listen to a lecture and absorb it. Some have to have some kind of interaction activity. So we give out like little quizzes or activities in the classroom to say, do you understand this concept about menu analysis, for example? We analyze a menu and trying to see what sells good, what's poorly sold, you're making money, you're not making money. Some of them can do it just by the lecture alone. Some cannot. They have to have the spreadsheet and they got to do it 2 or 3 times. And then at the end of it, the light bulb goes off. Oh, now I understand what you're talking about. Because they did the numbers. It's the one comment I get sometimes in my faculty evaluation. We wish we did it on the computer. And then I get a comment right behind that is, I'm glad we didn't get it on the computer because now I know how all the numbers came together. So it depends on the student, but in the classroom, some will do just straight off the lecture. Some have to have the activity. Some got to have it 2 or 3 times. It's not that they are less smart than anybody else in the classroom. It's just their learning style in that setting. They got to do it 2 times. Fine, let's do it 2 or 3, 4 times. As long as you get it, it doesn't matter. And that's how. The last thing is, they have to see how it applies to them when they're leaving the university. Like I said, we don't teach them how to make tomato pies, our famous side dish at McCutchen House, but they learn how to do it. But that's not the idea. The idea is, how do you apply what you're doing in McCutchen House into the industry? And they see that pretty quickly, because there is no, I mean, it's a live restaurant. There is no faking it. I mean, we're going, and sometimes we are extremely busy. But the one other issue is, they see myself and the support staff doing everything that they are doing. And sometimes we do other things besides what they're doing. For example, we're making large group reservations, and that's our job to do that. It's not the student's job. And they see how the managers, myself and the other staff interact with customers. It's called leading by example, and they pick up that. If he cares, or the managers care, then I can care. If you ever worked for a place or somebody where they didn't care about customer service, didn't care if the steaks were cooked right or whatever, the whole team suffers. So when you're in a management team, and I lecture this in our classroom quite often, is everybody's always looking at you. When you're the leader, everybody's looking at you. So you have to do well. You have to lead by example and be passionate about what you're doing. If you love what you're doing, it's not a job.
That's true.
So,
great example. One last question. Is there any different strategy that you apply when teaching graduate students compared to the undergrad students? Yes,
we throw them graduate students right into the fire. They've been through 4 years of college, they've been through 2 internships, and I do some graduate work with students, independent studies, and they do projects. And they say, all right, tell me what to do, Mr. Smoak. I said, well, I'm not going to tell you a thing. I'm going to say, here is the objective. Because a lot of grad students will come and do a class on catering special events, because a lot of students want to be special events managers. And I say, okay, I'm not going to tell you anything, but here is the objective, and here's what we want to accomplish. How are you going to do that? And they scratch their head a minute and say, wait a minute, I don't think I took a class on that. I said, yes, but you can start looking and learning and see how other people have done it. Google everything in the world. And they start looking. That's how that event went, and that's how they did, and that's what they do. And then they start looking up for MBOT, which is Event Management Book of Knowledge, all this information about how to run events. And they start pulling this stuff. And 9 times out of 10, when they are ready to do their event or their project, it's better than what if I had just told them everything to do. When they buy into getting the project themselves and it's mine, oh, they'll excel your expectations just about every time, because they got their name on it. It's not something Mr. Smoak making us do. So grad students, we put them right in there. And it scratches their head for a little while, because they're in the undergraduate program, that's not quite often happens, where they'll just say or tell the student, go do it the best you can, and go find the resources. Undergrad, you really can't do that because they don't have enough confidence yet. But the graduate students come to us with a 4-year degree, 2 internships. They have the confidence to do stuff, do it well. Man, you can turn them loose and just let them go. I have some grad students to work for us as a part-time job. And, you know, grad students have to work a certain number of hours per week. Mine always work more, because they get tied into these events and these activities, and they want to do so well, they forget how many hours they're working. And so grad students are done a little differently. And then when they leave, they have even more experience than what they thought they were going to get out of the class. So that's how it goes.
Outstanding. It sounds wonderful. And thank you for sharing with us your successes and some of the techniques that we can all apply in the classroom. Best wishes for continued success at the McCutchen House.
Thank you.
Neal.
You're quite welcome.